So why are we here? We've got kind of three slightly different but hopefully complementary viewpoints. Effectively, there is a skills gap in the UK. I was looking at some stats yesterday, just in fact around the G7, and in the G7, the UK was effectively sort of near the bottom of any table when it comes to measuring GDP. We were just slightly ahead of Canada and Japan. But other than that, all the other members of the G7 were ahead of us in terms of productivity levels. Certainly something that is a concern for UK PLC. And the other is around, particularly one of the things we're interested in is the digital skills gap and the digital skills shortage as well. And again, depending on which report you read, there are anything between hundreds and many hundreds of thousands of people needed to enter the industry every year within a digital capacity. And that's something that at the moment is a bit of a struggle again for UK PLC. So there's a couple of reasons from me. Alex, what would you got to add to those?
I think what the Institute can probably touch on is the idea that the expectation of managers has changed quite considerably as the landscape has changed. Mm-hmm. I think that as we move into a more connected world, but also particularly for the UK, a post-Brexit world, expectations are just changing continually. And I think a lot of what we've been looking at, and a lot of the reports and facts and figures show that we essentially need more and we need better managers. I think I think we can also argue that managers not solely now can be responsible for driving economic growth. You can't put that whole strain on that manager or that leader if you don't invest in that manager and leader and train them for that actual management profession. And we know that 72% of employers just don't invest in any management training. So I think that's where we fall short in the UK. But I think actually that's where we can make a big impact, particularly on the productivity question.
That's great. Thank you, Alex. And Mark?
Yeah, I think as the slide says, that we have managers lacking in various areas. So there are managers who lack confidence and so on. So when we started to put together our course, we looked obviously at the wider picture of management. We also looked at individual scenarios of individual managers and what they may need from our course. And some of the scenarios we come up with were, for example, a manager who wants a differentiator to stand out from the crowd. So for that manager, we think that our course can give them the knowledge and skills to do that. The diploma that they get will give them the ability to do that, and potentially chartered manager status will give them the ability to do that. Another possible scenario was a manager who's doing a good job generally, but feels that perhaps there are some areas of weakness. So we hope that with our course and our apprenticeship, we can fill in those gaps and give the knowledge that that manager needs. Another scenario was someone who works in a small company and who perhaps doesn't have many peers or a role model to bounce ideas off. So that person feels isolated. And we felt that what we can give them as a network is a shared community of practice and a way of interacting and validating their ideas. And finally, as the slide suggests, there are many people who are plucked from a job that they're very good at and dropped into a management position. And very commonly that person is going to lack confidence or feel insecure in their job. So I think the final thing we can give from these limited scenarios is to give that person confidence and the ability to be the manager that they can really be.